He's never fought us. Not us united.
I can so see that. That's it. Welcome to Justice League Rewatch over here on the Comics League YouTube channel. I'm Jared, and I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
WonderBat.
Batman doesn't do ships.
You couldn't even go 10 seconds, could you? All right, so this episode is the most WonderBat-y episode that we've seen so far. The problem is, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is why I give this episode, I'm going to tell you right now, a 6 out of 10. Because it comes out of freaking nowhere and contributes zero. Wait. It contributes zero to the plot of this episode. It's just there.
Sure.
But then again, Bruce Timm is known for forcing BS ships into his shows, so I shouldn't be surprised. But, all right, so we're talking about Maid of Honor. So we're talking about Maid of Honor, where Wonder Woman goes clubbing with another princess.
Yeah, some princess on princess action going on there.
Don't. So, and then now we are also reintroduced to Vandal Savage, and we actually get his origin in this episode.
Yes, he's quite the savage.
He's quite the rock. He gets his powers from a magical rock.
The savage is cooking.
Yeah, so, and we also see the Flash in space, which is odd, but okay. But except with the Flash, it's kind of easier to understand how he would survive in space than it is when Batman fell from orbit, but that's besides the point. But so Nick, your thoughts on this episode so far, your initial thoughts?
Best episode ever!
Yeah.
I broke him.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best episode ever!
Okay. With me, it's so in this episode,
I'm just gonna let you guys know, this is gonna be the most contrasting episode between us. Just letting you know.
So this was in this episode, Wonder Woman meets the Princess of Kaznia, which is just a fictional Eastern European country.
Mm-hmm.
And the princess has a security detail, and she's supposed to be getting married for like royalty reasons. And then while she's at this dance, Wonder Woman meets up with Bruce Wayne, which is the first part where I'm like, you could have made this a little more organic, but it's like all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I really feel like they phoned it in on this episode. Not the actors, the writers. Not the actors, the writers. No, it's just because I could understand if it was like brought in more organically, which there have been episodes where it was, i.e. Star-Crossed. But this one, it's like out of nowhere. And I'm like, what are you guys doing?
They're doing WonderBat.
But that's why and then all of a sudden there's an attack. And by the way, at this point, Wonder Woman doesn't know Batman is Bruce Wayne. I'm pretty sure she has her suspicions based upon the final part of this episode of this arc, but that's beside the point. And it basically fights. She gets her dress torn, and then Wonder Woman becomes the bodyguard of this princess, and they go clubbing. And then we discover that the princess is marrying Vandal Savage. And Wonder Woman's like, because Wonder Woman remembers the World War II episode that we talked about, which is basically basically Justice League on Earth X, and she tries to convince Audrey of who Vandal is. He doesn't, and then she invades a foreign country. By the way, I love where she goes, you're going to commit an international incident. And Wonder Woman's like, I don't care. She flies away and Batman just smiles. That was good. I like that part. And then Batman basically has a reenaction of Top Gun while Wonder Woman is fighting to breach the palace gates. And by the way, it's total BS that they would be able to capture Wonder Woman. That's my other issue. I'm like, what? How are they capturing Wonder Woman?
Very carefully.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. I'm like, there's so much in this episode where I'm like, okay. And then it's, all right. This episode is breaking me. So then, by the way,
Bruce Tim be like, I must Blake too.
the only Justice League people that aren't in this episode are Hawkman and Hawkgirl and Superman.
Actually, in part 1, it is just Bruce and Diana.
Yeah. By the way, I love where Flash goes. Let me know, and I'll call the 2 Johns. That was funny. And by the way, well, I still count it because remember we're counting these these 2-parters as one episode.
Yeah, but I just want to point out part 1 has Bruce and Diana only. WonderBat.
Why did you say that name?
Oh, come on. Be nice.
You know I could play your new intro. You want to say hi to Carol Danvers?
Sure.
So, by the way,
Batman doesn't do ships.
I love that. I love that clip. I'm so glad I
That
found that.
clip is getting a lot of use this
The
episode.
story is that I was rewatching the Lego Batman movie, and then immediately that happens, and I was like, "Oh, I need this."
You were like, I've got to get me one of these.
No, actually, I'm gonna go to next little StreamYard thing for this. As soon as I saw that clip, I was like,
"It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine."
that was me. So, Wonder Woman, for some inexplicable reason, is captured, which is stupid because she's Wonder Woman. She's a warrior. She should have situational awareness. Again, this show makes Wonder Woman look like... This episode makes Wonder Woman look like a love-struck idiot.
Stretch.
Because she's all of a sudden knocked out, and I'm like, and captured, and I'm like, what?
Well, she knocks out, gets up again, then everyone keeps her down.
I'm just like, are you kidding me? So, because Wonder Woman's strength, speed, and stuff is on par with Superman.
Uh-huh.
Well, it is to be expected because this universe, for legitimate reasons, weakens Superman a little bit because otherwise, no one would pose a threat to Superman.
I guess you could say he would be not impressed.
Okay, I like that one. Thank you. Speaking of which, I was impressed by the Flash. I had to put that in there, but I had to.
Yeah. This episode, when they're on the space station, they really actually showcase just how OP the Flash is.
I love it. Now let's talk about that. So the Flash it gets sucked into space. Here's why I can believe that he could survive in space for as long as he was, because of his enhanced healing ability. I choose to believe, I'm trying to find some way to justify this, that the Flash is healing at faster than space is tearing him apart.
Well, I believe a human being can survive in the vacuum of space for 10 to 15 seconds.
I have trivia for that. Dwayne McDuffie has stated, and I love you, Dwayne, R.I.P., has stated that the reason the Flash was able to survive the vacuum of space is due to the scientific consensus suggesting someone could survive for up to 90 seconds in space. Adding that the Flash shouldn't have been cold, the vacuum of space would have preserved his body temperature. If anything, he should have been sunburned from the unfiltered UV radiation. Yeah, because he was in there for less than 90 seconds. So I guess that's kind of a way to explain it.
Yeah, plus you could make the argument that maybe he vibrated his body to kind of keep his to generate heat or something.
Yeah, so the Flash is one of those characters where if there's anyone that could survive for a long time in space, I could buy that. Batman, no. I'm looking at you, Chip Zdarsky.
But he's Batman. Why can Batman survive in space? Because
Nick, He didn't even have a face mask or anything like that, and he was in the
But
bat.
he's Batman.
I guess that's true. I
He
need that
survives-
clip because
He
of Batman.
survives on pure plot armor alone.
Yeah, I know. But still, I like that. And I love where Flash goes. He's cold and he goes, I got to go warm up. And then he goes and like takes out a bunch of dudes and goes, okay, I'm good now. You threw me in space, a-holes. Mm-hmm. And then we get, I do like in this episode, by the way, going back to Wonder Woman, how during the wedding ceremony, when she's inexplicably knocked out, they do intersperse the wedding with seeing Wonder Woman fighting toward the castle.
Yeah, that was some nice cross-cutting.
I liked how they did that. And then, so, spoiler alert, so Vandal Savage actually creates what's called a mass driver, which is basically a rail gun, where it takes an object from space and like accelerates it so fast. So also when it combines with the gravitational pull of Earth, it creates essentially a nuke, but with no radiation. Yeah, and according to McDuffie, the railgun was lifted from his previous work on Shadow Cadet #0 and Hardware #1, though he believes the original inspiration has come from Arthur C. Clarke's essays he read as a child. And and by the way, so speaking of Vandal Savage's origin, he said Vandal Savage's origins are the same as in the comics version, except he gives his age as roughly 25,000 years, half of what he claims in the comics. So in the comics, he claims he's 50,000. Also, he is shown to have superhuman healing abilities, while in the comics, he has been forced to harvest organs from descendants to keep him alive from time to time. In the animated movies, he had healing abilities too. So it's not like they pulled this out of, well, they did, but I'm fine with that small change.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an immortal being. I don't mind giving an immortal being healing powers.
After all, Wolverine. It only makes sense. So, yeah, the railgun, it's also called a mass driver. So there you go. And then in Star-Crossed, by the way, on commentary to Star-Crossed, Bruce Timm joked that their version of Batman seemed to have a death wish, making reference to this episode. Dwayne McDuffie said this is not necessarily true, since here Batman did leave himself enough time to get out of the palace before the asteroid hit. It's like because he's Batman. Because he's Batman. Because he's Batman.
Because I'm Batman.
Yeah, it is revealed in this episode that Batman can speak fluent Kaznian. Other languages he can speak include Japanese and Spanish.
I mean, that part, that is of all the stuff, yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If Batman's going to be this prepared for everything, he should speak, what are the languages I'm likely to face in the field? Okay, there you go.
Also, just want to note that the priest they use is very clearly some form of Orthodox. I'm going to guess, because they're all kind of speaking, Russian accents or, variations, I'm going to guess that it's a Russian Orthodox ceremony.
Mm-hmm. And by the way,
just wanted to point that out because they could have just put them in normal, generic priest robes, but they took the time to draw the priest like an Orthodox priest. He's very clearly dressed like an Orthodox priest. And I just wanted to point out that detail because I thought that was a really nice detail they put in. They didn't have to do it, but it just adds to the world, and I thought that was really cool.
By the way, there was a nice little hailstorm in this episode. I have to bring that up because Jennifer Hale is in this episode. She plays Vandal Savage's attendant and a socialite in the party and a chambermaid. So I'm like, yes. Commander Shepard.
Yes, I always love a good Hale.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and
you're going to love on next week's episode of Avatar, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've said that many times, and I'm very excited.
But we're talking about Jennifer Hale, and it's I'm going to slip that one in.
By the way, did you catch what? So Wonder Woman. So Audrey tells Wonder Woman that she has feet of clay. Isn't that kind of funny how that's basically a reference to her clay origin?
That was very clever.
And Wonder Woman goes, "You have no idea," and I'm like, "Yeah, I see what you're doing here."
See, this is where you should have put in the clip from Iron Man. Very clever, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you need that as a drop.
Savage. Okay, yeah, and Okay, to be clear, okay, I'm gonna give this. That reference alone bumps this up to like a 7. I'll give it a 7 on this because they didn't have to include that, and I'm like, okay, and that was a clever way to basically hint at her
Because
Clay
there's
origin.
so many other ways that we're used to hearing, like, lead feet, whatever, but they specifically said clay. I mean, it still works within what she's saying. Like, that's kind of the genius of that thing, where like saying feet of clay, it still works within like the turn of phrase, but they specifically said clay, which that's not normally what people say in those kind of scenarios. So like that's kind of how clever that line is.
And by the way, so this episode ends with Wonder Woman expressing like her suspicion that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and it's not confirmed until Starcross, where we have that fantastic scene where Batman just identifies everyone after Flash is like, I don't know if I trust you guys with my secret identity. Clark Kent, Jon Stewart, Diana Prince, John Jones, Wally West. Are we done?
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne. I just love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10 purely because of the. Now, here's the thing: if the WonderBat stuff were brought in a little more organically, I wouldn't be as harsh. But it's just out of nowhere, and it adds nothing to the plot beyond just to tell people, hey, they secretly like each other, even though Batman flirts with literally everyone.
Okay, you want to know my score?
What?
10
A 10 out of 10. Yeah, I know why. You'll give anything that has the WonderBats to the top. Let me put it this way: I could take an episode I know you hate, like The Flash, and I know that you'll give that movie a 10 out of 10 purely because of a certain 10-second conversation.
I'm sorry, but not even WonderBat can save that film.
Nice.
Not even like the WonderBat makes it go from a 0 out of 0 to a 1 out of 10.
0 to 0, and yet you haven't watched the movie enough to judge it.
Keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, I think that's a good place to leave this episode. So all in all, an okay episode, at least on my side. Okay. I'm not going to say it was horrible, because there was still so much DC lore in this episode that I was like, okay, this is great. But, okay. And then our next episode, I'm just pulling up Max so I can tell you guys what we're watching next week. So, Nick, your concluding thoughts.
WonderBat.
Sorry, we lost connection to Nick.
No. Best episode of the whole series, hands down.
You're being serious. It's not just because of the WonderBat stuff.
I'm slightly playing this up for comedy, slightly.
So next arc is going to be Hearts and Minds, which is a heavily Jon Stewart Green Lantern episode. So we're going to get more Green Lantern lore.
You cannot get any more early to mid 2000s title than that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And by the way,
you cannot get a more like seriously. For those who grew up in that time, when they hear that phrase, they're just like, "Oh, this is going to be a very political episode."
And by the way, for those of you that don't know, you'll also learn that the Flash is friends with a Green Lantern other than Jon Stewart. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then the episode after that, the episode after that will be A Better World, aka the Justice Lords. Where we'll see that apparently in the Bruce Timm verse, Superman is only with Lois Lane when he's evil.
You're gonna have so much fun with that.
Oh yes, as much fun as you were having with this episode, I'm gonna have fun with this one. I can tell you right now, that's probably gonna be a 10 out of 10 episode for me. Let me put it this way: for the amount of people that say that Superman and Wonder Woman together leads to him being Injustice Superman, now I can say it leads to him being Lord Superman if he's with Lois Lane. It's payback, baby. So, on that note, everyone, stay heroic. We'll see you in the next one.